This is Sam Stratton, who's a master's student here at UC. What are you up to today?
So today I'm trying to catch butterflies out in the field. It's my first time out this season. Don't know, haven't seen any yet. Um, but from some of the citizen scientist data, there are some around here in Cincinnati, so hopefully I'll be able to find some.
So what is citizen science?
So with butterflies and a lot of natural observations, there's a lot of cool ways in which the public can get involved by helping us collect data. So one of the websites is Journey North, where people will report if they've seen butterflies, caterpillars, milkweed, and a lot of this data can be used by scientists to help describe the movement patterns of these animals and help predict when they'll be here and how the populations are doing.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So there are a lot of ways too that we're trying to help the butterfly populations. One way we do it is trying to look at the natural life cycle of the butterflies, some of their basic biology, and we have projects looking at how they respond to different nighttime light pollution. Because one big way that it can kind of mess up their internal clock, because especially in the fall, they use their internal clock and the daily cycle of light and dark to help them navigate all the way from Ohio down to southern Mexico. And if they're bombarded with a bunch of light from street lights, car lights, it can kind of mess up those natural rhythms, and their compass may not be as tuned in to help them navigate all the way down to Mexico.
Wow. So it looks like you guys are doing some important work to help save our butterfly friends.
Trying to. Okay, so this is our field lab, where we can house some animals for trials that we need to do either in a day or two, or while we are out collecting. If we spend the whole day out here, it's nice to keep them in these little incubators, which are climate and light controlled, so they maintain a consistent temperature and lighting, so the butterflies don't get too stressed out while they're here, and while we transport them back to our lab at the university. But in here we have a handful of butterflies. We can keep them in here till we take them back later in the day. And then over here is where we have our tethering station. So the tether you saw in the butterfly earlier, this is where we can set that up. So we have these note cards, paper clips to help restrain them, and then we have a bunch of those little metal tethers you saw over here. And then for any other butterflies, we have to do the actual surgery for the butterflies. We have a hot plate for wax over there to help with that surgery. And then over here, just a general table where we can feed any butterflies we need to. They're pretty easy to feed. They just need a honey solution, and that'll suffice for them. So that's the lab.
So Sam, what is it that we've got here?
So this is our flight simulator that we use to track the butterflies' orientation while they're flying.
That's cool.
Yeah. And so what you can do with it is you can take a butterfly, you can tether him, stick him on here, and then you can get data points for each millisecond by millisecond where he's heading in a 360-degree orientation. So if you think of him like a compass, if he's trying to go south, you can see him going, maybe something turns and goes back, and then you can get sort of an average heading for one individual, and then do multiple data points to multiple individuals, and you can sort of get a feel for how these butterflies can navigate or fly all the way down to Mexico in the fall.
So that helps you figure out what direction they're going and how they orient themselves to get to or from. Is there a seasonality to that?
So there is a seasonality to it. So the monarch butterfly migration is multi-generational. So if you think of, when you think of migration, you're probably thinking of birds and how year after year they learn the migratory cycle. But with these butterflies, only one generation will go. Should start over on that. In the fall, the butterflies will make a trip all the way down to Mexico to this one forest, and a lot of them will come from far up north or furthest up north around Canada, and some trickle from down more from the south. They'll make it all the way there. They'll stay there for the entire winter, and then they'll come back up north, and then from those people who come back north, they'll have their kids. The adults will die off, but then that next generation will keep going more north until they get sort of to around here in the Great Lakes for their summer breeding grounds. And then those guys will have another set of babies, and that set of babies, right around August and September-ish, will be the ones who go back down south. So it's usually 3 to 5 generations for a whole migratory cycle.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
So do you mind showing us how it works?
Yeah.
In order to test the flight simulator, we must first go and capture some butterflies. In order to do that, we go out into the fields around the UC Center for Field Studies, and Sam, equipped with his trusty butterfly net, is going to try and catch us some monarch butterflies. In addition, as Sam will explain to us in a moment, the field station is a great place to find monarch butterflies during the summer months, thanks in large part to the local flora that we can find here at the field station.
So we're standing right now in front of this milkweed patch. This is common milkweed. There are a lot of different species of milkweed. This is one of the most common here in Ohio. The monarch butterfly, when they have their babies, they will actually lay their eggs on the underside of this, and the larvae, the caterpillars, will stay around and munch on these leaves, and that's their primary food source while they are developing through the different stages of being caterpillar. And then two, when the adults come, these flowers up here too provide a really good nectar source for when they're hungry and need to feed. And there are also a lot of different bugs that will feed on these flowers too, because they are, like I said, a pretty good nectar source. So you'll see a bunch of bees and other stuff flying around in these things. Okay, so right here we have a monarch butterfly, as you can clearly see. And right on the back of his thorax we have this little tether. And how it's attached to him is basically, this is a common band-aid you can get from any store. And then we rub off all these scales. If you can see, there's a lot of scales on the back. And then stick the band-aid on, and then super glue this metal tether to him. And that way we can put him on to that flight simulator. But once he's done doing the experiments we need him to do, we can just take the band-aid right off him, and he's perfectly fine to keep on flying and doing his butterfly thing.